Boop biddy boop 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 booty boo.
Boop boo doo 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 doo.
Boop booty doo 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 doo.
Boo boo. Eat Chihuahua.
Who needs a theme song?
That's right. That's better. I love it.
Welcome to This Endorian Life, a Star Wars podcast from the Radio Meanwhile Network. My name is Steve Rudd.
I'm Nick Gunning, and we're following the Ewoks from Return of the Jedi to the Ewok TV movies, the 80s cartoon, and beyond.
Today, we are discussing Season 2, Episode 11B, Bringing Up Norky. This episode originally aired on November 22nd, 1986.
That's right.
We
Did you notice in the cast and crew section that we have a new co-author, at least?
Yes.
That's right. Today's episode is written by Bob Carew and Earl Kress. We'll talk about Earl Kress in a minute. Directed by Dale Scott. This was released on VHS as Ewoks 4, Wicket's Adventures as He Becomes a Warrior. Earl Kress is our featured cast member today because he is probably the most prolific TV writer that we've had involved in this whole shebang.
Yeah.
Of course, we had Linda Wolverton wrote a couple episodes, and she'd go on to write The Lion King and things like that. Paul Dini, of course, Batman the Animated Series and things like that. But Earl Kress, if you go and look up his IMDb page for what he's written, it's like every show from Ewoks to current. So
Wow.
Written things like Animaniacs, Transformers, DuckTales, Smurfs, Tiny Toons, Crypto the Superdog, some of the Tom and Jerry movies, Disney's The Fox and the Hound. It's all over the place.
Oh, so, wow.
Yeah, pretty prolific writer here, Earl Kress. I don't know why he has just a co-author credit on this. I don't know why they were like, hey, Earl, why don't you come help me crack the story of Norky? I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, should we get into this synopsis?
Let's do it. Synopsis. The uber detailed plot of Season 2, Episode 11B, Bringing Up Norky. Shadu agrees to babysit her friend's son, Norky. Knowing Norky, Wicket is dreading it, but Tebow doesn't think Norky is so bad. That is until Norky's parents leave. Norky begins to terrorize the kids by stealing all the cookies, then setting Baga loose into the Warrior Council meeting. Norky appears to redeem himself when he offers to spread his cloak over a puddle for Latara so she can cross over. He pulls it out from under her, and she falls directly into the muddy puddle. Norky gaslights the Ewoks, blaming the Ewoks for problems that he created. Satisfied with his behavior, Norky asks Shadu if he can stay longer, and she agrees, not knowing what he's done. Frustrated, the gang thinks of a plan to get rid of Norky and teach him a lesson. Sneaking into Logray's hut, the gang finds his globe of Endor, which happens to be smaller than they thought. Tebow eagerly uses magic to gigantify the globe, and it unfortunately begins to roll all around the hut, causing havoc until it finally comes to a crashing stop. Each Ewok suggests dreaded places to send Norky on the globe, but Nisa insists on a safe place, like the vacant valley, much to the surprise of the rest of the gang. They set up their trap, placing a glider and a treasure map nearby. They walk slowly away, baiting Norky by talking loudly about losing a map to untold treasure. It works, and Norky takes the map and glider and soars off to the vacant valley. Later, Logray calls to Tebow, asking if he's seen his map to the vacant valley. Nervous, Tebow asks why, and Logray tells him every 100 years the holes appear in the valley, and he would like to go and observe them. Tebow tells him he knows right where it is and runs off. The group quickly flies to the valley and can see the holes have already started. The group splits up to find Norky quicker. Tebow charms some vines into springs to help he and Wicket jump over the holes, while the girls soar overhead using gliders. They quickly find Norky and admit they tricked him and insist they all get out. Even though Norky drove them crazy, he's still their friend. Norky had no idea he had any of those and is moved by the compassion. Wicket, Tebow, and Norky suddenly get sucked into a hole, but Nisa and Latara save them, using their gliders. Back home, Norky is sorry for being such a lurdo. His parents finally return and are stunned to hear Shadow say that it was a great time taking care of Norky. Norky giggles awkwardly, but it turns into belly laughs when Wicket joins him. Roll credits. Ha ha ha! Should go back and see how many episodes end in just laughing.
I know.
Probably like 50% of them. They're all like,
I feel like even by this point, that was kind of a stereotype. That's like Flintstones era, you know, like the whole group
really
laugh.
did all
like
end
Harvey
like that.
Birdman was making fun of that, you know, from like the classic.
Buddy and a wood chipper.
Such a great show, man. I love Harvey Birdman.
Yeah.
The whole plot really is kind of a throwback, though. I mean, this feels like something that would have happened in like an episode of Yogi Bear or something like that. It's like the irritating friend and everybody, he comes around in the end. I thought it was very like by the numbers, that story.
Yep. 100%. This one felt done. This one felt done to death. Like, yep.
Yeah.
I know what they're going to do with them. But just everything else around it was just ridiculous. Like the globe. Like they honestly don't know nearby stuff that's like really not great. Yeah.
Also, that
they need to go find the globe.
That did not look like a map of a moon, but whatever. I think it's weird how sometimes in the show the characters are very like anthropomorphic. You know, like his parents were. Yeah. Like she had like pearl earrings on. It was very like a little couple. Yeah. I don't know. I thought that was kind of goofy. I don't hate Norky's design. I guess it's kind of an interesting, some sort of like dinosaur badger look. You know.
Or like kangaroo,
I guess,
like some sort of like pouch marsupial.
That makes more sense than whatever I said.
Dinosaur thing.
Let's go with that.
With like a lion tail, though. You see, it had that like the tail, the short hair tail with the plume on the end, like a lion does. Like, he was very different.
Yeah,
but I mean, that's like everything on the planet, right? I mean, so far, we've seen weirder.
That's true.
As far as like a main character, like little leprechaun-looking dudes, and it's just like that doesn't really jive with a forest moon.
Yeah.
But Norky, I feel like, kind of does, especially when you get into like that kangaroo type look, and you're like, there are like arid deserts out there on Endor, so it's like kind of makes sense as far as like, well, kangaroos are in Australia. Uh-huh. Norky species is in like the desert part of Endor. Okay, that kind of makes sense.
That has to be it. I thought it was kind of fun to see Tebow use magic successfully. He did. He made the globe a little bigger than he wanted to, but later, like when he makes the shoes for them and stuff, like the springy, boingy, boingy shoes, like it works. And I was like, okay. Usually Tebow using magic is like a punchline, but this time it kind of worked.
Yeah.
Was this a new staff? Tebow has like kind of a Logray-esque staff that he was using.
I think I've seen that before.
Oh, okay.
And I feel like every time he's used that, he's messed up.
I see.
But when he's used like the dust, he seems to be a little bit more at least a little bit more successful.
Okay.
Right, but I think we've seen him use that staff before because I've seen it before. It didn't stand out to me like, that's odd. Like I felt like I'd seen it in a previous episode.
Yeah.
He has a staff. He is using that. Normally he always does something else with the dust.
Right. So I thought that was kind of cool. It felt like Tebow was leveling up a little bit.
Yeah, he's getting there.
When it comes to their plan to like trick Norky, I'm like, are we trying to murder Norky today? Is that the plan?
When Nisa said like, well, why don't we send him to the like, we don't really want to hurt him, and they're like, what? Right. Like, no,
they're
we
like
wanted to kill him. Like,
yeah. I know. Nisa's like good copping this. She's like, guys, what if we just banish him instead of murdering him? And they're like, oh, Nisa.
And I mean, it's like you got to remember, like, it's just for the day or the night or something.
They have
like
no patience.
Norky's parents are going to be they're taking care of him for like, I don't know, 10 hours, but they send him off to somewhere to get like killed.
Yeah.
For hours and hours.
It was cold as ice. I don't know what their plan was, but it was cold as ice.
Only the strong survive on Endor, I guess.
Apparently. I was happy to see the gliders back. We got some good glider action here.
A lot of glider action.
Yeah.
That's that's like your bread and butter. You live for the glider episodes.
I do. I love it. I thought it was kind of cool how when they went to save Norky, they split up and Tebow and Wicket are on the ground and they've got like the springy shoes that Tebow makes, and then the girls are like, it's by land and by air. We just needed someone to come in by sea. But I thought it was fun. I mean, like I said, very, very paint by numbers plot, but
Yeah.
it worked. It worked for the time allotted, and we always talk about how sometimes it's like the whole world's going to explode unless you pull this lever.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just kind of like a goofy little small plot. This was very contained. It was like there was no villains. It was just just a goofy little thing that they set this in motion and then they had to go and fix it. So, I thought it was a decent episode.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to sound like I'm knocking the cookie cutter episode because I think they did it well.
Yeah.
It's been done 100 times and we recognize it, but I think I've seen it before where it just was not done well in other shows, where this one was just like, all right, you kind of don't like Norky. Like they were successful, right? Like he looks odd. His face can be cute looking and it can be like really malicious looking. So they did a good job on like emoting his character.
That's true. He did successfully make like an annoying character.
Yes,
like he seems like that annoying friend.
Oh, he does. I don't know.
I don't know how they did it, but it's like, oh, he's coming. Oh man.
Yeah.
Like I remember that feeling from childhood. But yeah, I thought it looked pretty good, and I thought like him stealing the cookies in the beginning and like making Latara fall in the mud and stuff, like they set him up to be that annoying dude, and then they kind of brought it home with a little redemption, I guess, where it's like, all right, Norky, you old scallywag, we're buddies now.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
What was your favorite part? What was your Ichiwawa moment?
Ichiwawa moment? I think it was definitely the springy vines. That kind of caught me off guard when Tebow was like, hey, let's do that. I got a great idea. And of course, there's like a pile of vines in the middle of a desert, which I thought was kind of funny. But then I was like, oh, there you go. Like, when you said like it was nice to see Tebow do some successful magic. That's exactly what I thought. I was just like, oh, he actually did what he meant to do this time,
Yeah.
And so that was fun. And it worked, right? They worked really well.
Yeah.
What about yourself?
No, that's actually mine too. That's what I wrote down, because it happened, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." But I was waiting for the hammer to drop. I was waiting for
the fail, right? I was doing
like
the same thing.
and they go into it, and then they collapse or they get hooked on something, and it's like Tebow, but no, he actually just like did it.
Yeah.
So no, I thought that was good.
Yeah. What about your Kavark moment? What moment were you like,
Yeah, I mean, it breaks my heart to do it, but it actually was glider related.
Oh yeah.
When the fellas are down falling in the hole and Nisa and Latara come in the gliders to get them, they glide over to the hole and then just stop. Like,
oh, did they? Oh yeah,
they just stop.
Totally, and then they lift them up like a helicopter.
Yes, exactly. Nisa's up there, and then Latara's kind of hanging from her glider, and then from Latara's glider, she grabs the guys, but she stop over the hole, and then they just lift up like a helicopter. And I was like, I don't want to tell you how to do your job, but gliders must be gliding.
There's that science fiction. It's science fiction, Nick, and you go, at least there's still like science fiction. Yes. Like there's Ryan Johnson's laser beams arc in space, or that doesn't happen. So there's still there's an aspect of, even though it is science fiction, there's still like unwritten laws, and that's one of them. Right. Your glider, your air glider, your wind glider doesn't stop short,
right,
and lift somebody out.
Yeah,
I get that.
Yeah, and so they didn't even address it. It was just like, this just works. Yeah,
mine was the whole scene with the globe. I thought it felt very much like didn't need that. They could have just been like, where should we take them? I hate the forever maze, and somebody could have been like, well, we don't want them gone forever, we just want them gone this afternoon, and then they think of like some other place that could have sent them, right?
Yeah,
but they had to like, I've got an idea, and then they go to this globe and they're like, oh, it's smaller than I thought, and it's just like, wait, what are we looking at? Like, I was just like, am I supposed to know what this is? And then it was just like a weird scene to just kind of figure out where they should send them. And of course too, they're like, let's send them here. And the other one's like, no, let's send them here, which is like entirely on the opposite end of the globe. And it's just like, whoa, guys, you're just babysitting for the afternoon. Like, you don't need to send them to like Kamchatka, all right? Bro. So it's just like, it was so strange to me. And I was just like, that scene just didn't need to that scene felt like it was to extend for a 20-minute episode.
Maybe.
I'm like, here we are. We only got 11 minutes here, guys, and we're wasting it rolling this massive globe around just to decide where they're going to send him.
Right, because it wasn't like, let's just get him lost in the woods. It was like, let's send him to a different hemisphere, And then there was, and it was just kind of like, I guess, just to do like a goofy Tebow messes up magic thing. Like, I feel like that's the only real...
Yeah. Like, we get it.
I don't know.
We know he messes up. Well, I guess it made it effective that, like, it did fool us when they did the springs. You and I both kind of expected, all right, it's going to fail because, well... 5 minutes earlier, it failed.
Yeah.
He failed. So I guess maybe that was a good aspect of it, but they didn't need this long scene of, rolling around, crashing, doing all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Logray never knows what goes on in his hut. You'd think he'd have like a locked
He's got no
hut.
He's got no security, Just have one of those Lurdos who's always hanging around. Just be like a bouncer at Logray's.
Have you seen my map? And it's like, meanwhile, there's his globe is literally 6 feet in diameter. Doesn't even notice it. Like, what the heck, dude?
He's slipping.
Yeah, I know.
He's really slipping. Yeah. Yep.
Oh man.
I think I think we did have a lesson this time. I think it was because Norky was sort of acting out because he assumed that they weren't going to like him. Like he assumed people weren't going to like him. So he was like overdoing it. So I think there was kind of a note there of like, maybe give your friends a chance or just be yourself. It was kind of because once they like talked about it, they were like, oh no, you're fine. And it was all fine. So I think that was kind of the takeaway,
Yeah, he didn't think they were friends, but the gang was like, no, you're kind of our friends. Because after they did it, right, they did kind of feel sorry. Ooh, I said that in a weird Canadian way.
You did. You got very Canadian. Yeah, you did. Sorry.
Sorry. Sorry.
Mike Myers all
of a Jersey.
Sorry.
But like they were sorry for what they had done. They felt bad, and then once they found out that like they could have killed him, they were like, ah, crap, and then when they said you're our, of course we would do this, you're our friend, he was all like, what? You're my friends? And then you see him feel bad for all the things he did because I guess he thought they didn't like him. I guess that's why.
Right. So he was just sort of like
he's just being a brat.
Starting aggressive. Yeah.
Yep.
Shadow gets all the credit for babysitting, and I gotta say she's terrible at it because they sent him to a very dangerous part of the planet or the moon.
Sure, I'll watch him, and then doesn't watch him at all.
Yeah. Then she's just like watching Price is Right while smoking a cigarette, and they banished him to the other end of the world.
she comes out of the hut.
Yeah.
Oh, there you are. Yeah, it was really good. He was great. Meanwhile, like the forest is on fire in the background.
Children is such a joy.
What a gift.
Shadow.
Oh, Shadow. I love Shadow.
I do too. We're coming up on a special episode for May the 4th. We're going to be doing another book club crossover with the How's Things podcast from the David A. Howe Public Library. We're going to be reading The Princess and the Scoundrel. Who was the author on that?
Beth Revis. The Princess and the Scoundrel by Beth Revis.
It's a relatively recent, I want to say it's a 2022 publication. It's a Han Leia story, a lot of setting on Endor, so will we get some Ewoks? Maybe. I'm hoping.
I think so. The cover's on on Endor, right? I think that's like in the background you see. It looks very like an elvish version of Endor. It's like Lothlorien looking, like woodsy, elvish. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
So that's going to be dropping on May 4th. So if you want to read along with us, you can send us your thoughts on Facebook or Twitter. Let us know what you think of the book, and we'll include that in the special episode. But very next, we're going to be talking about episode 13A, Party Ewok. We're jumping an episode because Battle for Sunstar, which originally aired as the 12th episode, was really kind of thought to be the series finale, and in fact was later re-aired to serve as the series finale. So we're going to put it in that slot, and we're going to jump to Party Ewok right now. Can't believe we're almost covering the finale of this show. Yeah,
I went to go select the episode in Disney Plus, and I was like, oh. I went to the end of like the slidey thing, and I was like, oh man,
I know
it's happening.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to looking forward to the next phase, looking at droids, looking at the Ewoks comics. There's a lot of cool stuff out there that we're going to get to. So all right. Well, I guess that's going to do it for this week's episode then.
Heck yeah, man. It was fun.
Yeah.
I'll see you next time.
That's right. And remember, if your friend annoys you, don't jump right to banishing to a different part of your planet. Try to give him a break. Okay?
Just give him a map to the DMV. They'll be stuck there forever.
Yeah, just hey-o. Tip your waitresses.
Oh, man. All right. I'll see you next time.
All right. See ya.
This Endorian Life is brought to you by the Radio Meanwhile Network. Other shows on the network include 9021 Here We Go, 90s Music Got Me Like, and previously on X-Men. Share your thoughts on this and upcoming episodes by following us on Facebook or Twitter @Endorian Life, and please rate, subscribe, and share this show wherever you get your podcasts.